You ever wonder what separates a tiny garage project from a global empire? Why do some startups become these massive legends while most, well, they just kind of disappear? Here's the thing. It's not magic, and it's not just pure luck. Turns out there's a playbook, and today we're going to open it up. So is it just a lucky break? Some kind of once-in-a-lifetime idea that nobody else had? Or is there a repeatable process? Well, it turns out the most successful founders, they follow a surprisingly consistent path. So let's break down that very first move. Yeah, and forget all those vague theories and cheesy motivational posters. We're talking about the actual, specific, strategic moves that really define success. And believe me, it all starts with the most crucial phase of all. All right, phase one. This is all about finding the real problem. The biggest mistake most founders make is trying to invent something completely new from scratch. But the real secret? It's not about inventing. It's about observing. The most successful ideas, they don't come from some flash of genius in the middle of the night. They come from identifying a frustration that people already have. So this completely reframes what a founder's job even is. You're not some genius inventor trying to magically create demand out of thin air. No. Your real job is to be a problem detective. Your mission is to find a real existing frustration, something that already annoys the heck out of people, and then just offer a better way to solve it. And these are perfect examples of this whole idea. Think about it. Airbnb didn't invent travel or renting rooms. They just saw two groups with needs that weren't being met, and they connected them. Same with WhatsApp. They didn't invent messaging. They just saw how much we all hated the cost and the weird limitations of SMS. And poof, they eliminated those pain points. They literally just tapped into frustration that was already there. Okay, so you've found your problem. Awesome. Now it's time to build something, right? Well, yes, but probably not in the way you're thinking. This next phase is all about launching the first version, not the final perfect vision you have in your head. And this is where the concept of the minimum viable product, the MVP, comes in. And honestly, so many founders get this completely wrong. An MVP isn't supposed to be a crappy, watered-down version of your final product. It's the absolute simplest, most basic version that's designed to answer one single critical question. Does anyone actually care about the core solution you're offering? And just look at these examples. They're wild. Dropbox didn't even have a product to start with. It was just a demo video explaining the idea. Can you believe that? And Instagram? It was ridiculously basic. It was just photo filters and a share button. That's it. They proved people wanted the core concept before they spent years and millions building out some massive platform. Now, with that MVP, your goal isn't just to get users. It's to create evangelists. You do this by offering them some exclusivity, making them feel special, and giving them a real voice in shaping the product's future. When you do that, you transform them from just users into partners. They get the sense of ownership, and man, they will promote you, they will defend you, and they'll give you that brutally honest feedback that is just absolutely essential to get better. Okay, so let's recap. You found a real problem, you've built a core solution, and you've even gathered a small, passionate community. Now it's time to build the foundation for real, sustainable growth. And this all comes down to two absolutely critical pillars: people and money. Let's start with people. And look, this number right here should stop you in your tracks. Solo founders are 3.6 times more likely to fail. And it's not just about the workload either. It's the psychology of the whole thing. You absolutely need a sounding board for your crazy ideas, someone to challenge your assumptions, and a partner to share what is, frankly, an immense emotional burden. Trying to go it alone, it's just a recipe for burden. But, and this is a huge but, you have to be extremely careful here. A co-founder relationship is so much like a marriage. It's a serious, legally and financially binding commitment. That's why the best advice is to date before you get married. Work on a small project together first. See how you both handle stress when things go wrong. You have to test that compatibility before you even think about signing any official document. And speaking of documents, you absolutely have to have these awkward conversations early on. First up, equity. Who owns what percentage of the company? Decide early and get it in writing, period. Second, vesting. This just means you earn your shares over time, which protects the company if someone bails early. And finally, decision-making. When you two disagree, who has the final say? I know it feels uncomfortable to talk about now, but figuring this stuff out is what prevents a complete and total meltdown later on. All right, now for that second pillar, money. And please, listen to this. Not all money is equal. There's dumb money, which is really just a check. No strategic value. Then there's smart money. And that's a strategic partnership. It's cash plus industry connections plus real operational expertise and credibility that can open doors you could never open on your own. So remember, always chase the value, not just the valuation. Okay, so the foundation is set. You've got the right team, you've got the right backing. Now, this final phase. This is about turning that solid foundation into a skyscraper. Welcome to the idea of iterating to greatness, where the real secret isn't perfection, but the sheer speed of your improvement. This right here, this is the engine of a successful startup. It's called the build, measure, learn loop. You build and launch something quickly. You measure the data on how people actually use it. You learn from that data, what worked, what didn't, and then you repeat the cycle. It's this relentless, nonstop pace of iteration that separates the companies that scale from the ones that just stall out. And look, you have to accept a really hard truth here. Your first idea is almost certainly going to be wrong. I mean, just look at this list of famous pivots. Twitter started as a podcasting platform. YouTube was a video dating site. Slack came from an internal tool at a video game company. None of them look anything like their original concept. Success is not about getting it right the first time. It's about being willing to completely change course, to pivot based on what you learn. But as you start to grow, you have to scale smart. Remember that skyscraper analogy? You can't just keep adding more and more floors without reinforcing the foundation. And that means building systems, creating repeatable processes, and having clear playbooks for how things get done. Because without that internal infrastructure, rapid growth isn't a blessing. It's just pure chaos. And here's the beautiful thing that happens when this is all done right. Startup success is not a zero-sum game. You're not just fighting over how to slice up a pie. When you create real, genuine value, the entire pie gets bigger. And that creates winning outcomes for absolutely everyone involved. The founders, the investors, your employees, and of course, most importantly, your customers. So there you have it. That's the real path, the actual playbook from a simple idea to a successful company. It's a structured process. Find a problem, build a core solution, assemble the right foundation, and then just iterate relentlessly. The playbook is in your hands now. So the only question left is, what problem are you going to solve first?